I think there is another couple quotes. There was one, and I thought this was kind of funny we've talked about before why it's oftentimes not good necessarily to talk to others. And I think this quote, it's not too terribly long, gets into what kind of happens when you allow someone else to interject maybe a question into your mind, and then all of a sudden now you've questioned your own faith. But he talks about the most effective method of healing or influencing the behavior of others consists in what is known as the silent or absent treatment. When the subject is unaware objectively of the suggestions given him, there is no possibility of him setting up an antagonistic belief, meaning if he's not aware that this is happening, he's got no way to put those questioning thoughts into his consciousness. And I think it's the same thing we do to ourselves in that, or when we talk to others, is they'll put that question into our own consciousness. So it isn't necessary that the patient know objectively that anything is being done for him. From what is known of the subjective and objective process of reasoning, it is better that he should not know objectively of that which is being done to him. The more completely the objective mind is kept in ignorance of the suggestions, the better will the subjective mind perform in its functions. And I think that states it in typical difficult to read Goddard fashion, mind you, but it really kind of illustrates that how that questioning really is what comes into play and actually starts to cause delays in our manifestation, or when we're working on the specific someone like so many of our people in our audience are fond of. It's that delay that actually slows it down further and or possibly commits us. I don't know. The other one too, it's maybe slightly off topic, but it's kind of I still get concerned about people. I get a lot of these emails of people that really seem to be trying to get a specific someone that doesn't sound like they're good people. And I'm not generally given enough info, and I try to ask questions back to these people, but it's just odd how, this relationship broke up horribly. Maybe there was some bad mojo going on inside of it, and then all of a sudden they really, really, really want them back. And I just sometimes wonder, maybe we're better to let life present us a better opportunity or a more appropriate opportunity, or one that maybe we've grown into. But that, I don't know, we can kind of get into that maybe in the second part of this when we get into the coincidence stuff. But it's still just, there seems to be go ahead.
The thing is,
save me from myself.
No, because this is something that I get probably at least 100 times a week via all different shapes and forms. Until we understand that people out there, especially a romantic or a love interest or relationship, they seem to be the ones that are the most challenging. Now, Neville talks about this in lots of different shapes and sizes in all the literature, but everyone is us pushed out. And what he means by that is our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are projected. That person is a hologram. They show up as we think about ourselves, as we think about them. So if you're a man dating a woman, it's your thoughts about women, it's your thoughts about yourself, it's your thoughts about relationships, about love, about soulmates, and about how you feel, as in deserving, worthy, loved, wanted, that you matter, that you're a priority, that you're important. And that person shows up with all your beliefs lathered all over them, literally, and they act out everything, the whole mixed bag of nuts you've got going on around that. People still think that people act independently, that they're doing their own thing, but the version of them that shows up in front of you is your mixed bag of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. That person might act totally differently in front of somebody else, because that somebody else has a completely different set of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs.
And it's oftentimes it can be just perception too. I mean, so maybe this person, you could have this person in front of 3 other people, for example, and behaving as they are, and those 3 different people will experience that differently.
Yes,
and that is like
interpretation.
Exactly. So all of us are moving this through our own personal filters. So with you completely, that a lot of times we really need to look at what's going on with our own personal filters. That's why a lot of times it's hard for me to to do this manifestation, these videos and all this. I love doing it, by the way. I love talking about it, but it's hard to do it in absence of, you also need to pay attention to what's going on inside yourself, what you're noticing with yourself. If you're seeing odd behaviors, then these are indicative that there's some things that we need to look at. And that's how they show you. That's how you find them. It's kind of beautiful how it plays out. That's something to have faith in there too, right? I mean, I've got faith in the fact that I'm going to demonstrate to myself things I need to work on by the very act of trying to manifest something.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, it seems, if I'm trying to manifest a specific person, because they bring out every dark fear, every weakness, every cobweb that's been hanging there since 1975.
Right.
You know, like that'll come up in your relationship with that person, because that's where all your stuff is for some reason.
Yeah. In relationships, I think without a doubt are the ones that do carry probably the largest amount of emotional baggage, personal baggage, I guess, personal, like our filters, our hurts of the past, our misdeeds, our misbeliefs, all these things get pushed out to our next relationship or whoever we love, like you said. And we really have to realize that what people are doing is reflecting back on us. And certainly some of the people that have emailed me get that. A lot of them don't seem to. So, I mean, I've asked you before, but I'm still curious. How do you bring up that subject when you're dealing with someone that you kind of need to go more down that self-love path with them? Do you just say, hey, just practice the self-love meditation, or do you get into it with a little depth? I mean, do you dance around it? How do you approach that?
You mean in the work situation?
Yeah, like from a coaching standpoint,
from
maybe.
A coaching point of view. Look, I used to probably tiptoe around a bit. Now I'm a bit more hardcore. You know, like if someone sends an email and says, you know, I just really want a commitment from this person. I hear this a lot. I want that person and I want a commitment from them. And it's like, okay, are you open to what I want to say here? Yeah. Okay. If you are in your sentence, that tells me a lot about you. I want a commitment. I want to get a commitment from them. Okay, so the word get is in there. So there's nothing about giving to that person. You're just trying to take something off them. That person is now having to do something for you to feel good. Now, there's nothing wrong with the desire in its little state. I'd like to be in a committed relationship with someone. But from the way it's worded, it tells me a lot about that person wants to get. Whereas my suggestion would be, sit and do self-love meditations, or it doesn't even have to be meditations. Just have good self-talk, self-love talk, that you are, you know, loved, deserving, worthy, first best, whatever it is that you're just not really happening with. Anchor that and get secure. Once you've got secure, what you have to do is be giving. People that often want specific people are in take mode.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why specific people stay away. And that's why they left in the first place. If you already had something with them and they're an ex, they left because you sucked the life out of them. You took the love. You needed them as the oxygen tank. They felt it. It was not their job. They got sick of it and they pissed off. So the learning is transforming that, taking. You know, many of us start there. We don't get taught this. It's not a huge deal. It's not cool to do, but we didn't know. Once you know better, you can do better.
Right.
So you learn to do the self-love in whatever shape or form you want. And then you start to radiate love and give. That means you're emotionally attractive to be around. And then that person comes back because you are no longer... like a vacuum cleaner.
Right.
Because that's what people feel. And who wants to be around someone who's taking?
Right.
You know, people say, oh, but I really love them. No, you don't. You want them to love you.
You love the idea of them.
Yes. And that's the thing. And I have to say, Dan, women are the worst. Women are the worst. It's 80-20. Men have got this area a lot more secure within themselves. Still obviously working on it. But women, you know, from childhood, from their relationship with their fathers, they've got this thing that I need security from him.
Right.
And men are driven by, and Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, men love freedom. So what a clash of things. So a woman has to learn to allow him freedom and not be controlling, and have her own sense of self-love and self, and bring that out and give him that. Then he will be stepping in to provide a certain level of security because he feels that she understands his freedom.
Right.
That's how it dovetails. But it's this, I got to get this so that I can feel secure. And this women that want to get married, get commitment, get all this stuff, that in its pure form is okay. But it's the underlying take and drain that they come with that really is not.
Well,
healthy.
being a guy and certainly having some experiences where I think I've had a couple people pursue for reasons that didn't seem overly appropriate. And I agree. It's like when they're coming at you from that, I want some security. I want comfort. I want someone that's going to help, create a baby or whatever, all these different needs that start to come out, and you feel that as a person. You're like, whoa, no, like that. I'm not interested in necessarily just jumping straight into that. Like a relationship's great and that energy's great, but it feels sometimes a little takey,
it does. And this is the thing, Dan. Women have said for centuries, oh, men are emotionally unavailable. No, they're not. They're running away because you're a needy, longing, desperate person.
Right.
They're emotionally incredibly sensitive because they can feel your longing and your neediness and
You're
your
right,
desperation.
Almost proves, totally. Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's that thing of, instead of saying they're this, no, you are projecting all that stuff. You got to learn to stop doing that, and you got to self-fill and then be someone who's got something to give, which is your emotional stability, your self-love, and you know what? I've got my own security happening here, so I can actually contribute that to you. What a great partner that is.
Right. And it does seem too that often well, not often, this is like just how it works, is what energy you're at, what energy you're radiating is basically the energy they're going to radiate back. Again, they're just reflecting what we're sending out. So
exactly,
when we're coming from more of a pure, loving, truly wanting to give love and real, I think true love doesn't require anything back. I think true love is I love you regardless, and whatever happens. I was kind of like when I walked away from my specific someone, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm totally in love with you. No question in my mind. That's done. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
But I don't need to be all this other energy that I'm, throwing out there at this confusion that I'm experiencing, this why don't I have it yet? Because all that stuff is weird, funky energy that the other person does feel. And frankly, it's not attractive.
It's not. And it takes a bit of practice to be really honest with yourself about what you're doing. Because I hear a lot, oh no, but I'm really sending him love.
Right.
But you just said you've been stalking him on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, no, you're not.
But I'm stalking him with love. Come on, Anya's.
Yeah, actually, this is something I want to talk about.
Oh.
And rather than do a separate YouTube about it, I'll talk about it here because it's a really, really, really big, huge thing. If you are doing the stalking on any social media, okay, what happens is you are going into that person's whatever, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and you're looking for something. You're usually looking for another third party, seeing if they're actually happy without you. So what you're doing is you're projecting fear of loss, fear of I'm not going to get, I'm second best. And when you go looking, whatever you focus on, you will get evidence of it. So you're actually shooting your desire in the foot if you really want to be with that person by doing that behavior, because you're projecting everything you don't want in your action. People think they do it at home and no one can see them.
Yeah.
No one can see them. But the energy of what you don't want, because you've projected fear, worry, suspicion, paranoia, and I'm second best.
Right.
You've just put a big fingerprint on that, and then you end up with evidence. So if you don't want that evidence, don't do it. Not because you can get away with it because no one's looking, but because you don't want the consequences. I get at least 25 emails a week of people that have pulled in a third party.
Now, here's a funny part of this, because this is a perfect acronym for that. But when you're coming at it from that standpoint, when you're the one that's basically, you're like you said, you're stalking, you're looking for something, you're coming at it from fear, and an acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
And that oftentimes is the case too, where you'll find, oh, there's the other guy. And it's like, that's just some friend. I mean, really, maybe the reality of it. Yeah, the reality of it could be totally harmless. But since you're so focused on finding this evidence to prove your point, that you look at it and you're like, that's it. He's cheating on me. That's it. I'm sure of it. And it's like,
And it could be his sister. It could be like, this is the thing. You might see something, but it's the fact that you've interpreted it in the way that destroys your emotional state. And the thing is, you've got to protect your emotional state, because your emotional state is what goes out as tentacles that bring in everything. So why would you do that to yourself when you know what you're going to pull in through that crazy addictive addict behavior? Because that's what it is. It's, I need to get love from that person because I'm too lazy to do it for myself. And I know that's a bit hardcore, but it's true. Yeah.
Well, we're not saying it to specifically anybody, right?
No
it's
one
just
in particular.
The shoes fits.
So it's like, people, there's this thing that, I'm getting away with it because I'm searching. People have said to me, I look on there every day, and it's like, okay, well, get ready, because the landslide is about to hit you with a third party within the next 2 months. Guaranteed, because you've put so much focus on it, so much energy into it, and you have been a conscious creator. Right.
And you might as well just call him Sir Creepy Creeperton at that point.
Yeah,
because
it is creepy.
It is. It really is. And frankly, too, if you don't have trust in the person that you're trying to be with, you're missing the primary component of any good relationship. If you have trust, you have nothing. Exactly. And so we really have to look too. Like if I'm the one stalking on the Facebook, then I really got to look inward and be like, what? Why don't I trust this person? Is it a legitimate reason? Have they cheated on you or something? I mean, like if there's legitimate stuff, totally. But if not, if you're just trying to fulfill your fears and prove yourself right, usually.
Prove yourself right, yeah. And if someone's cheated in the first place, it was your projection prior, because of your awareness of it, that brought that in again.
And so again, on top of that, it's the likes attract likes, right? I mean, that energy, your energy brought that, quote, cheating person into your life, or that or caused the scenario where you were cheating on someone maybe, which is also crappy, because that tends to ruin relationships as well.
It does. It does. It's just, and it causes so much drama and chaos. It's just not, oh my goodness. Once you've been through that once, you really don't want to be creating that again. Once you know how you don't create it, stay away.
So have you found that people tend to have a hard time understanding why stalking someone is derogatory, is negative, is bad, or do they tend to get it after you like?
Well, no, I actually did a YouTube about are you stalking people on social media?
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, and people but then I thought, hang on, I didn't actually talk about the consequences.
Yeah.
That it's not cool to do it, because someone who wants a healthy relationship doesn't do that stuff. We know that. But that doesn't really have any consequence attached to it. That's just, okay, well, I'm not really a healthy person yet, but I'll still keep doing that because I'm getting something out of it.
Yeah.
Which is typical addict behavior. You're doing something that you think you're getting away with, but it's getting progressively worse. And then the consequences get massively bad. Just like when you're in addiction.
Well, and that's the thing we've talked about before. When you are trying to manifest a specific someone and you're holding them and you're doing this imaginal work and you can see them out in the future, right? Or see them from that location, you're sending energy to that individual. They're feeling you at that moment. And when you're doing it with love and all that stuff, that feeling they receive is very, very groovy and cool and happy and wonderful. Yeah. When you're doing it from a stalker perspective, the energy you're sending to them, they're getting this weird vibe from you. So there's no secrets in the universe. Everything we think, say, and do is broadcast out. They may not consciously be aware of it. They may, they may not. It depends how sensitive they are. But you are sending, like you said, a fingerprint to them that's just like blah, right on them. And they're like, whoa, why do I suddenly feel so-and-so and it feels weird? Like it doesn't feel right. It's not a good, warm, glowy kind of feel.
No. And you're not, like you say, you're not sending that person love.
No.
You're sending them distrust. You're sending them
fear.
You know, So don't do it to yourself. My God. It's just creates such crap. And I mean, I know a lot of people that will watch this will go, yeah, I'm in that situation.
And so while we're on this, just I think a couple more minutes on this subject, but again, I think it comes down to a couple choices. If you are that person, which, you know, this isn't a criticism to anyone. This is like, hey, cool. Here we've noticed, here's a place that I can make some changes and modifications in my behavior that will probably bring out a difference. But the big question is why don't I trust? So you really need to answer that question. If it's a healthy relationship and you're not trusting, okay, is there something deeper at work within you? Did you cheat on them? Did they cheat on you? Is there some way that they've mistreated you? Or do we even possibly look at the possibility that maybe this person isn't the right person for us? Why? I mean, if we've got all this distrust, why are we trying so hard to make something work that maybe ran its course? Maybe, I don't know. You know, I'm curious what you think when it comes to, like, there's two paths kind of that you can go down. I can still try to repair myself and still have this specific person, or repair myself for sure, but wonder why am I trying to have someone that I don't trust, that I don't, you know, so.
But you often, Dan, the distrust isn't necessarily about the person.
True.
Because I know, you know, having spoken to many people about this subject, that the person often has distrust in pretty much all relationships, because the distrust is in them through whatever happened in childhood or whatever they experienced. You know, it might have been that they got married and that person was, you know, had an affair, and then they go, oh, now I'm afraid that it'll happen again. So they carry that distrust from relationship 1 to relationship 2, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right. So.
And we've talked about this even with you in your past and the choices that you'd made. And it was kind of, it's hard to get out of that. It's hard to get out of that pattern, but you did. You progressively did through a number of fun steps.
And look, I still have to rein in not going there. Like I won't say that it's an easy area for me. It's definitely one of my potholes that I have to watch. If I get tired or if something happens that I slightly interpret the wrong way, I got to say, ooh, you don't do that anymore.
Right.
And then I've got to go and do, you know, a Ho'oponopono prayer to dissolve the part of me that had that going on. And so, I'm not, I'm only as good as today. I've got to watch I don't go back to my old habits.
Right.
And I have that was definitely one of my old habits that, I mean, as you know, because you know the story of what happened with my husband, and I pulled in a lot of third parties. I think I've done enough of that now. I've got a PhD in it, so I'll give that up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of it for I mean, most of us. I think everyone's carrying around something from previous relationships, and I think a lot of us really you've got to look at those things and understand that these are also aspects that are putting our faith in question, or causing us to question this specific person, or causing us to question ourselves. And these are answers that we have to come to, or you're never going to get to the specific someone, especially if it's been, you know, months that you've been attempting this so far and it's still not connecting the dots. Then look inward. There's more to this.
Look inward.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And it's always between you and you. It's never between you and them. It's always between you and your beliefs.
That's the hardest part for even me. I mean, there's times where I forget that, and it's like, oh, dude, yeah, you're right. You're just this is just reflecting back. Remember, Dan, it's not them, right? And it's like, oh, yeah, you know. And so we're all kind of moving through the stages, if you will.
We are.
And I think that's a big part of why the faith thing with Goddard, for sure. I mean, imagination's easy and great, and it's extremely powerful. But then if you sabotage yourself every chance you get after doing the work, then you're going to find that you're disappointed from time to time.
Yeah.
Very good.
For sure.